Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ari, and today we're going to have some more stories about our toxic life. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to my channel, like the video, if you enjoy it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now without further ado, let's go. Today's first story. In this story, Obi discovered his wife's infidelity when he caught her seducing and having an affair with their plumber. Confronting both, he recorded the plumber's confession and promptly ended the marriage. The betrayed husband stopped supporting his wife's education, leading to her desperate situation. Friends abandoned her, and she struggled to maintain stability, losing belongings with each move. He is resolute in his decision, reflects on the consequences, and hopes his ex-wife has learned from her actions. Now let's get into the story. My wife, 37 of 5 years, suddenly had a dramatic increase in her intimate drive, and I, 33, loved it. Trust me when I say that I took every opportunity one could to help her out. I worked full-time, and she attended classes at college part-time. One day while I was at work, my wife sent me pictures of a puddle of water and a leak that started in the house. I told her to call a friend of mine that was a plumber. Since I was busy at work, I didn't hear anything for hours but didn't notice because I was really busy. When I pulled into the driveway, I was surprised to see his car was still there. I entered the house and he was walking down the stairs, followed by my wife. They both looked extremely cheeky and pleased with themselves the second before they saw me. That's when my wife lost color in her skin and started stammering. I cut her off to ask where the leak was because I thought it had been in the kitchen. My friend told me while he was there he wanted to check for leaks upstairs as well. It made sense enough that I let him leave, but my wife started acting super weird that night. She didn't feel frisky, which was really unlike her. During the next 2 weeks, she was more distant than usual and snapped at me when I asked who she was texting so much. She added a password on her phone and didn't want to come with me to a family reunion. Well, I'm no dummy and I decided to confront my friend the plumber. I arranged to meet him for lunch at a diner on my work break. I don't think I anticipated how horrible I'd feel after this because I didn't return to work. When we sat down, he was super nervous. Even though we usually met for meals to catch up every once in a while, I decided to pretend I already knew whatever he was so nervous about me finding out. When I said I knew what happened and just needed to hear it from him, I started recording on my phone. He was terrified. He started looking around, breathing heavily, like he wasn't sure if I was going to lunge in his throat. He told me what happened that day. He fixed the leak while my wife hovered close by, wearing nothing but a short nitris. She asked him a lot of questions, which eventually led to inviting him to check out a potential leak upstairs. When they got up there, she undressed completely and laid on our bed. She asked him to inspect her, and he couldn't resist. His head dropped onto the table, sobbing so loudly that other people in the diner stared at us. I left immediately. From what he was telling me, this was my wife's scheme of seduction. I was still really pissed at him, but I couldn't risk having charges pressed against me for beating him up, and karma would begin as soon as he lost his job. I returned home to find my wife enjoying the luxury of a house I provided for her while she did homework for schooling that I paid for. Her life was about to drastically change since I bought it. I took her laptop and smashed it right in front of her. She screamed and asked why I did that and what was going on. Since she seduced and fucked my friend and our plumber, she wasn't going to be my wife or live here anymore. She immediately started sobbing because she knew she was caught. She tried apologizing, saying she messed up and wouldn't ever do it again. I told her I wasn't a blindly trusting idiot and that she had broken her wedding vows to me, which can't be forgiven or repaired. I needed a wife I could trust to be in our home without me, and that wasn't her anymore. She sobbed and begged while I dumped all her stuff on our yard and porch. She called her best friend for help. When she arrived, my wife told her what was going on, and once she heard the story, she decided she didn't want to help my wife and left. Her friend knew what a good husband I was and that she was a damn fool. This woman was going to become dependent to whoever elected to help her. So my wife called a classmate she didn't know very well, begging for help. This poor girl would become the sucker, After she helped my cheating wife get all her stuff into her car, she took her back to her small apartment, and my wife started leeching off of her. Meanwhile, I filed for divorce and stopped paying for her schooling. Of course, as soon as she was dropped from the program, she left voicemails on my phone, a majority of which were inaudible. She was extremely upset and her life was crumbling all around her. She told me she didn't know how she was going to survive anymore. All I could think was good. I wasn't sure if it made me evil, but it did make me proud of myself. I didn't lose my cool beyond what I was entitled to and filed for divorce without hesitation. I knew I couldn't trust her the same way ever again. Eventually, the poor girl my wife leeched off of for many months had enough. She kicked her out the same way I did by leaving all her stuff outside. Hilarious. Ever since then, my now ex-wife has been sleeping on people's couches, and each time she moves unexpectedly, she loses more of her belongings. I guess it's a struggle to find a car or job without the stable place to live. Maybe she's learned her lesson and won't cheat on anyone ever again. Today's second story. In this story, Obi discovered his wife's cheating through missing security videos at her massage parlor. After consulting her stepbrother, he confronted her, leading to divorce. He filed for alimony, won, and established a new life. The wife faced financial struggles and lost customers after the revelation. He now focuses on his YouTube channel and emphasizes the importance of loyalty and respect in relationships. Now let's get into the story. My wife, 38, and I, 41, got married on May 5, 2015. She was the owner of a massage parlor. Before we got married, she would have to get up close and personal with male and female customers alike. I was surprised. My wife had cameras in the massage rooms, but it was legal as long as the cameras were visible. She said she felt better having everything recorded in case, and anyone tried to do anything weird or anyone tried to claim she touched them inappropriately. At the end of each night, she would store the video in an archived folder in case she ever needed to defend herself. I would help out in the business sometimes, but it was always upfront and taking out the trash. She showed me how to move the camera recording to the archived folder, and I did it for a couple of nights. I was glad I could help her, so it was one less thing she had to do. After I got used to doing it for a while, she had me stop. But that was far from the strangest thing she started doing. She started sleeping with her phone under her pillow and definitely on silent. I never heard that thing make a sound ever again. I wondered how she knew when someone tried to reach her business, but she probably knew because she was always looking at her phone unless she was giving a massage. She also tried to give me reasons why she didn't need me to work, or better yet, why I didn't want to work. I started to feel pretty hurt and actually asked her why she was pushing me away. She was really surprised I even noticed her treating me differently. Maybe her judgment was cloudy due to a fair fuck. This is when I really started wondering if something was going on. I showed up without telling her while she was in the massage rooms. I dismissed the receptionist, telling her I was there to relieve her lunch break. I opened up the archived file and scrolled through the dates. There were 2 dates within the past 3 weeks that weren't there. I scrolled back as far as the prior year, and the only 2 dates that were missing were within the past 3 weeks. So it was very unusual that any dates would be missing, and the fact that they were recent made me think I was catching on to something. I wasn't sure what to do, so I actually called my wife's stepbrother. We were closer than people might think. We hung out together at least 4 nights a week, sometimes staying up until 3 in the morning filming ghost hunting videos. I confessed to him what was going on, and it was hard. I had to make him promise not to tell my wife and really honestly give me his best advice, and that was to leave her. He jumped to that decision awfully fast. I asked him why he thought that so easily, and he told me that my wife had cheated on every single man she ever dated. I said a curse word when I heard him tell me that. He said he never told me because he thought every person deserves a chance to start over new. I really wish I would have asked him early on about his sister's past. Maybe he would have told me if I asked, but I wouldn't know now. So I decided to confront her about it to see what she had to say, but be prepared to divorce because something was definitely up. I waited until she was done working, One day, and we were almost done with dinner. She almost choked on her last bite. When I asked point blank if she was cheating on me, she immediately turned red and asked why I thought that. I told her it was because she deleted 2 security videos. She looked confused, but it was definitely acting. I knew my wife for 10 years at this point. I wasn't stupid. I asked her if I could see her phone, and that was not what she wanted to hear. She was in the middle of telling me she didn't have time to cheat, but that's not what I asked. I knew she was working while she cheated, probably with the same customer both times. That's a close visit for any regular customer. I was trying not to give this information too fast, but I couldn't resist, so I told her. I checked the financial logs too. This was a little more foreign to me, but I thought the number of customers she had on the mystery days didn't really match how much money she made. So one of the customers she had logged on those days was probably her AP. She did not like this conversation and how much thought I already put into this. I asked her again for her phone. She looked like she was going to throw up, and she actually did. I felt bad, but I also felt convinced I was right about the whole thing. If that was the case, she deserved to barf. While she was doing that, I grabbed her phone out of her back pocket and found tons of texts to one Sarah. I didn't know if that was a code name or what, but I took screenshots and sent them to myself before my wife stopped throwing up long enough to charge at me. She threw up on her phone while it was in my hands, and I ran outside to rinse my hands off with the hose. I told her I saw enough to know she cheated on me and I wouldn't stand for it. I grabbed my emergency departure bag and went to her stepbrother's house. I slept on the couch while I filed for divorce, hoping they would make her move. But the house was in her name, so I was the one that had to find a place to live since she was the breadwinner. I sued her for alimony because of her infidelity, and it was actually approved. I bought my own place. Even though it was a part of another house, it was still property I would own after I paid off the mortgage, so I was happy. My ex was not happy. She spent a ton of money on a lawyer, but it didn't make a difference. She got to keep the house, so I thought she should be happy. Once word got out about this, I'm not sure how it did. Her business lost a lot of customers. I didn't go around telling people, but karma took place anyway. The fact that she lost a lot of customers meant she did struggle to pay rent for a while. I heard she only dated AP a month before she was dumped because AP was scared she would do the same thing she did to me. To them, owning a massage parlor is a privilege and a duty. People are trusting you with their bodies, and it takes a lot for some people to even relax. The fact that she did this is very unsettling. Since then, I've managed to grow my ghost hunting YouTube channel and have a monthly income from that, along with a side job I started with my best friend and ex's stepbrother. I have no idea how my ex is going to make do in life, but it doesn't really concern me. I hope this tale inspires people to remain loyal and respectable.